going on, guys? Thank you so much for joining me today on Vicious Whispers, episode 27. Took off last week because I was on vacation. Went up to Ashland, Oregon. It was beautiful. Had a lot of fun with the kids and my wife, but we'll get into that a little bit more. And the other good news is we no longer have to listen to Brightside. Not that it was a chore. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed it. I love that story. But today we can talk about it a little bit. And also I could finally talk about Beyond Brightside and Try Not to Die in Brightside. I wouldn't want to give anything away. So yeah, there are some spoilers for Brightside if you didn't listen to the audiobook. So go listen to it. Fucking hurry up. It's free on SoundCloud. I put the entire audiobook up there so you can listen to it for free. If you have friends that might like it, send them that way. And I also have, I think, 13 short stories. Most of them are horror, from Somber Stroll and Twisted Reunion. The original plan was to go right into Try Not to Die in Brightside. I was going to start releasing that along with the contest. Only problem is we have not started recording the audiobook. My friend Donna, who's narrating, has been very busy. She also co-wrote it. And so we haven't been able to get that done yet. But man, I got so many fucking projects going on. It is hard to get to all of them. But I do love my attitude towards it. My attitude is, fuck man, when something happens, it happens. Like, I'm not going to stress about when people are working on their Try Not to Dies. Like, I have about 10 different ones that friends are working on or, kind of slowly developing. I was like, it's good. Usually they feel guilty about it too. And they tell me, they feel awful when they tell me, hey man, I haven't been doing shit on the writing. I was like, good, because I fucking still am on my first draft of Beyond Brightside. And then as soon as that shit's done, I got to jump into The Bridge, which is part 2 of Messiah. And then the other 3 books in that series, plus the 3 books of my trilogy, the fantasy stories I'm going to be writing with my daughter, plus all the Try Not to Dies, plus the short stories. So I've got a lot of shit. So when stuff comes my way, that's cool. That's the right time to do it. So if you are one of my friends that's working on a Try Not to Die with me, don't trip. I'm not. So what else? I guess first we could talk a little bit. Yeah, let's do personal shit before we get into Brightside. So I mentioned that we went up to Oregon. We flew from LAX into Medford. It was like a 2-hour flight. It was cool. The only problem was, prior to that happening, my wife had had been having, for like a week or 2 prior, she'd been having a lot of pain in her arm and down her back, and also some numbness in her fingers. This got worse and worse until the day before our trip, and we actually ended up in the ER because she was in so much pain. I mean, she said it was worse than childbirth. It was the worst pain I've ever seen her in. Turned out to be, they thought it was a pinched nerve, but the medicine that they gave her was shitty. She felt better the next day and was able to fly with us, but then the next 2 days up in Oregon were awful, and we ended up going back to the emergency room up in Oregon. Fortunately there, they did a great job of actually treating her. They cared about her. They got her right in. It was a much smaller hospital, but the quality of care was just crazy how much different. Like the doctor that we went to over here at the ER, he never even once touched her neck, didn't examine her at all like that. And but this other doctor did an incredible job. So very grateful for those guys. They helped get it under control, and it got so much better that she was able to actually do a couple of activities with us on vacation. But with the kids, I went ahead. She wasn't able to go ziplining with us. I think we did that the first day. I wasn't sure how my son was going to do with it. He hadn't ziplined before. He's only 5. He turned 6 on Saturday. And he was a little bit nervous, but it was a really cool place. Out and about tree houses, I think. We had tried to rent a tree house there, and then they were too booked, and so we just did the ziplining there. But that was a lot of fun, and he was super brave. In fact, the guys told me, they were like, man, you got to watch this kid because he's going to be a little daredevil. He was going up first. He just did not care about being up high, totally relaxed. So that was fun seeing that. A couple days later, we went horseback riding. He was very nervous about that. But he was on his own horse, which was on a rope tied to the guide. But he did a good job, and it was a 2 hour horseback ride. So I did that with my daughter and son. That was fun. We got to see all of Ashland. It was beautiful. We were up on the hills. One of the reasons I went there was to see how the family liked it, how I liked it, if we would possibly want to move up there or get a vacation home. We're definitely still considering that, but one of the things everyone kept telling us was that, yes, it's beautiful, but nearby, like Medford, that's like a meth capital, and you could just tell, like it definitely have its own feel. Lots of people call it Methford. And so I was like, I don't know if I want to be that close to that kind of city. But we'll see. And then the other big reason I would hesitate to move up there is they said the last couple of summers they've had terrible fires. And those fires, like they completely shut down the city. So many businesses had to close because the smoke is so bad. Like you can't see shit. The air quality is terrible. And so that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. But we will keep checking areas out. I think we're going to be going back up to Portland area pretty soon, and check out some of Washington, and we'll see. But the other good thing is I'm in no rush, man. I'm happy. Seeing my wife in so much pain definitely helped me appreciate my health a lot more, and just my family a lot more. And realize as long as they're okay, as long as they're healthy, like it doesn't matter where the fuck we live or what kind of house we live in or any of that shit. So that was cool. But what else? Oh, we also did escape rooms up in Ashland. My daughter is a huge fan, so is my wife, of escape rooms. They've done quite a few around here in this area, but the one up in Ashland was really cool. It's called Escape Ashland. They had 2 different buildings, 2 different escape rooms. We did both of them on different nights. And yeah, they were really well done, well thought out. And what was cool was even my son figured out a couple things all on his own that we didn't. So it was cool. We got through both of those. That was fun. And I think that's about it as far as what we did up there. We stayed right on the house that we stayed at. We got through Airbnb, and it was right on the Rogue River, which was beautiful. Really nice house. It was secluded, so that was cool. But yeah, it felt good being up there. I did do one thing on my own. When my wife was feeling better, I went and trained at 10th Planet Grants Pass. The plan was to go up there and train. The kids were going to train at least 1 or 2 days each, and then the same with myself and my wife. But with her injury, she obviously wasn't able to. But I did make it in one night. The head coach wasn't there, but the assistant coach did an awesome job. I learned some cool stuff, and the most important thing was how cool everyone was, how friendly everyone was. It could be intimidating walking into a new gym, especially if you're a bigger guy, and I don't know, you always, whenever someone new comes into your gym, you want to represent your gym, you want to do a good job. You don't want someone new just smashing everyone in your gym. I didn't go in there with that attitude, obviously. And I guess everyone else, everyone there was super cool. Very friendly, very welcoming, and had a lot of fun. The only problem is, next day, my neck is hurting, back's hurting, low back's hurting, all that shit. So again, I had that conversation. It's like, okay, is this what I want to keep doing? I don't want to have a messed up neck every time I roll. But again, and I probably said it on here before, I just don't do it, is I need to do strength and conditioning. I need to be smarter. I need to prepare my body for what I'm putting it through. I finally put in a phone call to a guy out here who's supposed to help me get my strength and conditioning on, my nutrition on point, all that stuff. So we'll see if that makes a difference. Hopefully I'll be able to start up with him next week. And then my wife will be doing the same thing in order, she's going to start physical therapy on her neck. But then while she's taking the time off from jiu-jitsu, she's having the right attitude too, where she's just going to try to strengthen everything up. So when she does go back to jiu-jitsu, she'll be doing okay. Won't have those injuries. I really noticed, because I wasn't doing yoga for an entire week with all the traveling, the ziplining, the sleeping in different beds, taking care of my son, picking him up, horseback riding. Like, my back is a wreck. I did 3 days this week of yoga at Downey Yoga, and again, all awesome. But man, it's much tougher having a week off, especially with my low back. Like, I realize this is a lifelong thing I got to be doing. I got to take care of it. I have a degenerated disc back there, so I just need to really, I need to put in the time. Otherwise, I'm gonna be living with pain. Fuck that. I would much rather not have that. So I will put in the time and do the yoga. Another interesting thing I was thinking about today with yoga is I'm no longer high when I'm doing yoga. Unless it's here late at night, then I'm definitely high. But before, when I first started, my buddy Anthony, my yogi, was a big time pot smoker too. And so we would always use it. It would always enhance the session, it would seem to. But I no longer need it. And that could be because it's at 9 o'clock in the morning and I'd feel like a loser if I was smoking that early. Although that's not entirely true, because that's what I used to do too. But yeah, it's just kind of cool that I don't need it. Still getting an incredible, just overall feel awesome because of it. In a much better mood, mentally, physically, spiritually, all that good shit. So I will continue to do it. I'm not sure what's going to happen this summer when I will no longer be going to Downey to take my daughter to school, but I'll probably return to, there's a local place in Whittier. I went to them before. I'll probably start up there again, or I'll just do it consistently at my house, which also works. So I think that's enough bullshit about me and my family. Now we can talk about Brightside. All right. So they made it. They escaped. Yay, Joe. In the original version, they did not escape. Joe got fucking blasted. Several times. But first he had to watch his friends die. So in the original version, Danny got blown away, Sarah gets blown away, Becky gets blown away, and then Joe gets blown away. So I'm glad that's not what we went with. It's what I had wanted to go with. My wife actually liked that ending a lot too, but that would have been super depressing and just, I wouldn't be writing a sequel, which I'm doing now. So, I'm glad that Joe made it. In Try Not to Die in Brightside, the main character is Becky. So she's the young girl that Joe goes back for and rescues at the end of the book before the escape. And so she had a very minor role. I think she only had, I don't know, there's only a couple sentences about her. She was with him going through the tunnel and all that, but very, very minor character. But for Try Not to Die, she's the main character. It's going to start on her day 100, so I think at 6 in the morning, the same day. There will be some scenes that Joe might pop in at the start of the day, but very few. So it's just going to be her experience in Brightside, her trying to figure out this escape, whether or not she's going to be part of it, and then it's going to continue a little bit past where Brightside left off. And then Beyond Brightside picks up from there, and it's going to be Joe's point of view. So that's who I have been writing. One of the things I would warn other writers about is knowing whether or not you might write a sequel and thinking about what you are doing to your character and what kind of situation you're putting him in. Because in this one, Joe not only tears up his ankle, but he gets fucking shot in the clavicle. So that definitely impacted what the sequel was going to be about. So the starting point either was going to be with him injured right from the start with a bullet wound in his clavicle, or I could write it, fucking maybe it starts 6 months later and he's recovered from it or whatever else. But I went with it being immediate. There's no break in the action, and it's him dealing with this this gunshot wound. I wrote to my friend Dr. Mike Simpson, Special Forces medic, and That's not all he is. Fucking, I don't know his official deal, but he does a lot of stuff with Tim Kennedy. He's been on some TV shows. He's also a writer. I did a podcast with him with my old podcast Unlocking a long time ago, but I wrote to him and I asked him for help. Like, okay, what kind of drugs would this guy need in order to survive? I don't want to give away too much stuff, but he gave me a lot of insight into, okay, this is how they would dress it. This is how they would. This is how he would be able to move around. This is his range of motion, and these are the kinds of drugs that he should be taking. So that definitely helped a lot. I'm going to be talking to him some more when I get a little bit closer to finishing this first draft. I'm pretty excited about this draft because it's almost fucking done. I think I just hit 50,000 words. The complete book will probably be 70 to 75, and I still have 4 more chapters. So the first draft I'll probably finish like around 60,000 words, and then I will beef it up. I'll add some more scenes probably if they're needed. But it's really not that far away, which is awesome. I was kind of struggling with this last chapter. I wasn't sure exactly what was going to happen, how it was going to. I knew what had to happen, but I wasn't sure how it was going to happen or where. And so every morning when I was taking my daughter to school, I was like, okay. I was like, what do we do? What makes sense? And even though she didn't give me much advice, it helps me just to talk it through. Lots of times I'll realize when I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense, or I'll come up with an idea and then I'll play with it later. So I'm happy that that scene came through. I just finished up chapter 25. Chapter 26 is flying. I just got the first part of it done today. About to have an awesome fight scene. There's some sexual stuff going on, which is interesting because this girl Becky is only 16. She turned 17 the following day, in the scene that I'm on right now, and she has to try to seduce someone. So that's a little awkward, but really dig where it's going. And yeah, the next scene is going to be fun. There's going to be a nice fight scene with Joe and Becky both getting into it with a pretty big, strong army dude. And then after that, it is the final act, the last 3 chapters. It might turn out to be a couple more than that, but it's the wrap up of the book. What's cool is as soon as I'm done with this version of it, this first draft, I'm going to give myself permission to jump into my short story collection, which is awesome because I completely forgot I even had it, but I just realized, I was like, oh, I have 20 stories that are already completely finished. I just gave those to they've been edited, and now I just gave them to my dad last night to do the final edit on them. I think they're all pretty strong. He's going to tell me which ones he likes, which ones he doesn't, which ones we need to rework, which ones we should cut, if any. And then I have only, I think, 6 to 8 others that I already know what I'm doing with them. I just have to rework them a little bit. Some of those might get cut, but for the most part, they should be pretty strong. And so we still have to decide whether it's going to be one complete book or maybe we just put out 2 shorter books. Just because of the content and the way, I don't know whether or not they're all going to flow together. Like Twisted Reunion, those were all horror. Some of them might have been kind of suspense, but they were all genuinely horror stories. These stories that are coming out, there are some that are horror, but the majority of them are more like suspense and thriller type shit or crime fiction. So I don't know how those are going to go together, but we will find out. That's one reason why I had my dad looking them over to get his opinion. It's always a little bit weird giving him my writing because, as you probably guessed by now, my writing's pretty dark. It's pretty, it could get a little graphic, a little sexual, a lot of cursing. All the shit that we weren't allowed to do or express at home when we were growing up. And so now I'm like, here, Dad, check out how fucked up I am. But it's cool. He realizes it. He knows it. And I think he actually enjoys it. He was one of the first to. He did the final read on Brightside, and I was really surprised at how much he enjoyed it. And he told me that that ending was one of the best endings he'd read in a book. So that was really cool. He wouldn't have told me that if it wasn't true. So that is awesome. Before I forget, I do want to thank someone. Several people. One of them is Donna. She just, not Donna that's writing the book with me. Donna FT. I don't know what that even stands for. But this woman in London who read Twisted Reunion and reviewed it. And in her review, she also mentioned how much she enjoyed the podcast. So I was like, that's cool, because half the time, I don't want to fucking even do the podcast. I was like, who's even watching? Blah, 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 blah. So that's really reassuring. It's like, okay, here's someone I don't know that actually enjoys it enough to mention in a review. And thank you to anyone who's taken the time to even write a review. I'm always honored whenever someone does that. So thank you to Donna. Thank you to everyone that's been leaving them for Messiah. Those are all being positive. Someone just told me that book is kick-ass. Another person said that they did not put it down from the moment they picked it up. They read it all in one night, which is pretty awesome. In fact, one of my son's friends, his dad, did the same thing. His wife had been reading it. Every day I would go to school, he would keep telling me, he's like, Susie won't finish the book. He's like, she's such a slow reader, and she won't let me pick it up until she reads it. And but she kept telling me over and over, she's like, oh, I'm liking it. Then finally it was his turn to read it, and he read it the entire, like, in one night, which I don't think I've ever done with a book. But that's awesome. I was like, if someone can do that with one of my books, then that is super cool. Alrighty. You know what? I want to wrap this up because I want to go do some more writing. I want to finish up this scene with Joe and Becky and see how they fuck this guy up. And I think they might get a little bit hurt too. But that's for me to figure out and for you to read like in a year from now. But the cool thing is, Try Not to Die in Brightside is finished. It's just a matter of us recording it. Once it's recorded, we will start that contest and release that. But in the meantime, I got to figure out what to play for you guys. Originally, so what's going to be the Try Not to Die in Brightside? And then when that didn't come through, I was like, okay, what short story should we go with? And I still wasn't sure until this morning. I think we're going to go with a short one. We're going to go with a very short one, flash fiction from Twisted Reunion called No One's Here. So we'll play that. But then, as a little bonus, and because it's such a short story, you guys will get to hear No One's Home. I will narrate that myself right now. The original version and the real version will have T. Quillen narrate, and it'll be well done. But this is just an early look at one of the shortest stories from this next collection. Yesterday was the first time I let anyone see it. I sent it to my friend Linda Moore. She's been super supportive of my writing. Always leaving reviews, always being encouraging, and so that's why I sent it over to her just to check it out. I have several friends, fans, whatever, readers like that. My friend Jasmine, Chris Nicholson, there's a bunch. So those are the kinds of people that I really appreciate. And so I gave that to her yesterday. She's been the only one to check it out, and she said it was so black, and that she really liked it. So we will see what you guys think. And again, it's not completely edited. One more final pass. While I'm reading it, I'll probably realize a couple things that I don't like that I'm going to change. But for now, that's what it is. So first, let's listen to No One's Here, narrated by T. Quillen. And then, don't go anywhere because I'm going to come back on, and then we listen to No One's Home. All right, guys, check it out.
No one's here. I'm no one. Been no one since I was old enough to remember. The name on my birth certificate might read Andrew, but I'm never called that. I'm no one. Mother always said so. It kept me safe, and it kept her from lying. No one's here, baby. She had 2 hiding places for me when she entertained men like Desmond. Sometimes she put me under the bed. Usually she put me in the closet. That's how I learned to do it to her like a grown-up. That closet was small, and it smelled funny. Not like this one. I've been in here for 8 hours, and I could stay 8 more if I had to. But I don't think I will. They go to bed early, and they just turned off the TV. I won't make any noise. When I was a kid, sometimes I accidentally rustled dresses or bumped into the door. If Desmond asked what it was, Mother would tell him not to worry, that she needed to feel him inside her. If he tried to get up, she'd swear no one was there. No one was watching. Just keep going. Don't stop. Don't ever stop. I'm never remembered. Nobody will miss me when I'm gone. I blend into the crowd, another nameless face. But I like it. I'm no better, no worse. I'm simply here watching. Like the angels. Even though people may not know my face, they feel me. When they found my mother, the police said no one could have crept into Mother's room while she combed her hair. No one could have done such brutal things to her. And if you ask my neighbors who tortures all the strays, I know they'd say no one does that. And surely no one in this city is responsible for the horror happening in the schoolyard. The lights are turned off. Now it's just as dark out there as it is in here. I'll give them a few minutes to get settled into bed. No need to rush things now. Everything is set. I already searched their bedroom. I found everything I needed. No one needs to watch this. They're getting undressed. I hear zippers and buttons and pants falling to the floor. I don't hear any more talking. Just the bed squeak briefly, the covers shuffling. They're probably curled up in bed, whispering, "I love you." No one should have that kind of relationship. No one deserves that kind of special bond. This damn door didn't creak like that earlier. I should have oiled it. I don't think they heard it, though. There's no noise. He's probably touching her, stroking her hair, her thick brunette hair. Just like the only woman no one ever cried for. I wonder what her throat will feel like. How soft her skin is. Skin so thin. God didn't think that one through very well. No one could have done a better job. This is my favorite part. They can't hear my footsteps on the carpet, but I know they can feel my presence. They always can. They know someone's here. I see it in their eyes, even in the dark, where no one can see. She's whispering that she's heard something. I'm in the doorway. She's whispering because she knows someone is with them. The husband's telling her it's nothing. No one's here. He's just as scared, but he doesn't want to show it. But he knows someone is coming.
Alright guys, so here is the follow-up to No One's Here. I'm going to try to do one every couple of years, or whenever I put out a new collection, I'll add a No One story. And yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy it. This will be on the next collection, which will come out later this year. Already released Ain't No Messiah this year. Try Not to Die and Brightside is coming out in a couple months, and then this one will be out this fall. Alright, here it is. No One's Home. No one lived in this apartment over 30 years ago. This is the bedroom I shared with Mother when she wasn't working. It was a different bed then, nowhere near as comfy and nice. This one is soft, the black silk sheet so slippery. Mother's sheets were all different colors, piled in the corner until I take them downstairs to the laundry, my hands getting gross and sticky. No one rarely slept in Mother's bed, because she worked every night she wasn't bleeding. There was a pillow in the closet where I curled up when I tired of her show. The closet door no longer has slats to peek through. The walls are painted a pretty blue. The room smells of roses and happiness instead of semen and sadness. Lots of times I'd silently cry myself to sleep, but not tonight. No one couldn't be happier to be back. No one likes to remember, to see how things have changed. The rest of this city is just as dirty as it's ever been, but this apartment's found new life. A young couple giving it their best shot. Instead of our scratchy brown rug covering the faded floorboards, there's a thick dark carpet that hides any sign I was here. 17 sets of renters have lived here in the last 3 decades, but none of them knew how much of Mother's blood was soaked up by the wood they walked on. She'd been sitting right there, combing her hair for her next visitor. No warning before my knife slit her throat. I slide off the bed and slip on Marty's sandals. At first it felt strange to be stepping in another man's shoes, but after what we've shared, it only seems right. Marty's the good-looking guy cuddled next to Maggie in the photo on the dresser. Maggie and Marty forever, etched into the wooden frame. On the door to Mother's rough-up room, there's a huge poster of Maggie with her winning smile, a big thumbs up in front of a for sale sign, her phone number blue and bold on the bottom. Her office is tiny but clean, everything organized, nothing like the whips and chains, masks and gags Mother laid out on her workbench. It costs extra to go into that room, Mother always coming out limping, a new bruise or black eye as part of her bonus. The living room is just as small as I remember, their oversized couch and widescreen TV filling up the space. No one was rarely allowed in this room though, because this is where men waited while Mother cleaned up or finished off a friend. The parking spot is only 10 feet from the front door, and it's easy to hear the car pull in and shut off, a door open and close. I ease into the kitchen, careful not to slip on the slick tiles. I press my back to the wall and slide out my knife, smile when Marty opens the door, calls for Maggie. He closes the door, turns the lock. "Maggie, you here? Hey, hun, you in the kitchen?" No one stays silent as his footsteps come closer. No one knows what's going to happen, how he'll freeze when he sees what a mess I made out of Maggie, pieces of her scattered across the floor. Sorry, Marty. No one's home. Ta-da! Alright, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, so that still maybe changed a little bit. We haven't done final edit, but yeah, that is No One's Home. That'll be on the new collection. I think next week, maybe until Trend to Die in Brightside is ready, the audiobook, I might just read one of these new stories every week before they come out. So a little bonus for you guys that have been faithful listeners. All right, well, thank you guys very much. Hope you have an incredible weekend, and I will talk to you later.